Hello and welcome. This is Differentiated Instruction in the Modern Music Classroom. I'll be your teacher today. I'm Allison McKay. I'm the Data Middle School Instrumental Music Instructor and your artist of the evening. First, I wanted to talk to you about getting to know your students. This is our student, and I found that getting to know them helps to let you know how to better instruct them. For example, a lot of my students are involved in the Boy Scouts. These students make really good leaders. I've also found that dancers and other performers are really good at practicing and learning their skills quickly, and they have the discipline to continue working, but sometimes they can't make it to the performance because they're doing other things. A lot of students are involved in sports, and they are also very dedicated. It's also really good to know which of your students have little students coming in behind them. This can distract them at home. It can make them frustrated that they're not getting the right amount of attention from their parents, but future trombone players, so keep them coming. The purpose of differentiating instruction is so that this student, along with all of these students, get the same amount of education in my classroom. What we want is to move our students across their zone of proximal development. Here is what the student can do unaided. That's without me, Miss McKay, as their teacher. Here's what the learner can do with guidance. That's where I come into play. Here, we're not there yet. We're focusing right here. We're going to move them up through what they can do unaided to what they can do with our help. Ways I like to do this in my classroom are to give my students options on their questions. These are the depth of knowledge questions. So I'll ask my student, what is the time signature of this piece? This is a level 1. If I want them to think a little bit more, I'll give them a level 2. What bow stroke would be best to achieve this accent? I can ask them something a little more deeper, like what do you think inspired the composer for this piece? Or if I want them to really look into the music, I'll ask them to create a program notes for our upcoming concert. This is like a research paper for our students. I found that grouping students the traditional way in our orchestra, like so, with the teacher up front, these dots are students, the teacher up front, the sections the way they are, I found it really hard to get to all my students, especially the basses right here in the back. When they're grouped like this in the traditional sense, they can only work with each other. But what I tried to do is put them in rows like this. So the basses are all together, but the cellos can hear them and the violins can hear them. And that leaves lots of room for Miss McKay to wander the rows here to fix this student's and this student's and this student's problems that they've been forming. We offer our students at Data Middle School options in what they want to perform. They're able to join the band class and the orchestra class. And this gets every personality type of student an option for how they want to learn music. Also, what's really important is to let the students know that they can be assessed in different ways as well. I like to listen to hear if the student is playing the right notes. This is an easy way to do an assessment in my classroom. Another way I like to assess is by giving them an exit slip. If they understand the content, they let me know. Sometimes, unfortunately, I have to give the student a test. And this can be either a playing test or a written test. And that is a nice assessment to hear whether he knows what he's talking about when he's playing his cello. I give my students practice cards, and I taught them a bunch of different ways to practice, and they tell me how much they practice each week. And my favorite one is the choose your adventure type of assessment, where they can do anything from showing me how they can play to conducting a piece to writing about the piece, and that's how they show me that they understand the material. Thank you very much for listening, and that's how I differentiate instruction in my classroom.